I came home from work to find my neighbor standing in the middle of my backyard with a chainsaw, cutting down the oak tree that had been on my property for 40 years. I didn't even have time to take off my coat before I was running across the grass, screaming for him to stop what he was doing. This wasn't just a tree. It was the one thing my father had planted before he passed away, and it marked the exact boundary between our two lots. My neighbor, a man named Miller who moved in 6 months ago, didn't even look bothered by my arrival. He just wiped the sweat from his forehead and told me the branches were dropping too many leaves into his gutter. Miller is the kind of guy who thinks that because he owns an expensive truck and a lawnmower with a steering wheel, he has the right to manage the entire neighborhood. He had been complaining about the tree since the day he arrived, but I had always politely told him that I wasn't interested in removing it. I had even offered to pay for a professional service to trim the branches on his side of the fence, but that wasn't good enough for him. Seeing him now standing over a massive gash in the trunk of my tree, I felt a level of violation that made my blood run cold. He had waited until he knew I was at the office to pull this stunt, assuming I would just accept the finished product. "You have no right to be on my land," I shouted, standing between him and the half-cut trunk as the engine of the chainsaw finally died down. He gave me a condescending smile and pointed to the fence line, claiming that the tree was actually leaning 6 inches over onto his side and was therefore his responsibility. "I know where the survey lines are, Miller, and you're standing 10 feet deep into my property," I told him, my hand shaking with a mix of grief and fury. He just shrugged and said the tree was a nuisance, and he was doing me a favor by clearing out the mess before the storm season started. He actually had the nerve to ask if I wanted him to help me haul the wood away once he was finished. I pulled out my phone and told him I was calling the police to report a trespassing and property damage in progress. His smile vanished, and he started blustering about how neighbors shouldn't involve the law over a few branches. "It's not a few branches, it's a living piece of my history that you're destroying because you're too lazy to clean your own gutters," I replied. I didn't wait for him to leave. I walked to the edge of the property and waited for the patrol car to arrive, ignoring his attempts to apologize and make excuses. He tried to claim he thought the property line was different, but I had the original deed and the survey markers right there in my hand. The police were not amused by his explanation, especially when they saw the scale of the damage and the fact that he had brought heavy machinery onto my lawn without permission. He was cited for criminal mischief and told that if he stepped 1 foot back onto my grass, he would be arrested on the spot. I spent the rest of the evening talking to an arborist, who told me the tree might be saved if we treated the wound immediately, though it would never be the same again. Miller spent the next week hiding in his house, refusing to look at me whenever I went outside to check on the progress of the repairs. I ended up taking him to small claims court for the cost of the arborist and the value of the tree, and the judge ruled in my favor within 20 minutes. Miller had to pay a significant fine and cover all my legal fees, which I think hurt him more than the actual realization that he was a bad neighbor. I installed a tall privacy fence along the entire property line a month later, and I made sure the footings were placed exactly 1 inch inside my boundary so he couldn't complain. We haven't spoken a word to each other since the court date,